Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It seems like we landed. We arrived in the studio again. And it's our second podcast about music, visual music, live music, improvisation. And today I have a new guest. It's Lali from Argentina. We know each other for a couple of months, I think, maybe more. But yeah, we are so deep into this one topic about live music and how to perform from your heart, from your soul, and how to be connected. And this is the topic of our today's podcast. And yeah, I will introduce Lali. She's a musician. She's a meditator. She is an instructor. She is many things, and I cannot say that a person is a thing. It's really like a complex
a person that does many things.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, there's no such profession yet developed for you to nail this topic. So we will discuss and explore this from multiple sides.
Okay.
We met at the beach. We just started instantly playing these beautiful instruments, singing together, playing drums, and eventually found out that we have this topic in common. But apparently we arrived there from different places. And let's listen to your story. How did you end up so deep into live music?
Okay, well, I come from a very musical family. In my house, there were a lot of records from my dad, especially from abroad, like the Beatles, the Carpenters, and a lot. And also my brother, he was a guitar player, and he introduced me into a lot of alternative music. Like he really liked listening to music from abroad. And also he had a band, and with his friends, they were also like finding some different types of music. So for me, listening to a lot of music in English at home, and also my brother and his bands that were all the time finding out new stuff was like a big influence to me. So when I was like in primary school, I listened to the Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith. My friends listened to completely different music. I mean, I can say I'm very open to music. But I really enjoyed the foreign in all the sense of the word, like the different. So I guess that was the beginning at home.
Like and exposure, yeah.
The exposure in my house, and then with my friends and my brother's friends. And then, so many things. When I was, I think, 17, my sister traveled to the US. She moved to the US. And the first time I went there, I started discovering different music from there. And that was for me also another turning point to get to see music from on the street, maybe in New York, and see people like performing with drums like anything, in New York you can see anything.
New York, yeah, it's famous for that. Yeah.
Right. So for me, this also opened up my mind and my being in so many ways. And also, I'm a teacher of English, so it was also very helpful for me to develop and improve my English, because I learned British English when I was in the US. It was very difficult for me to understand. So I guess all the things that I do are related to languages, the musical language, but also Spanish, English. I know a little bit of Portuguese. And I'm a music collector. I like collecting music from the places where I travel.
Yes, that's an interesting topic for me.
Yes, and it's like every time I share singing circles, this is one of the things that I do. I see no matter where the people are from, there's connection and joy. So I like the songs that I collect. I like my choices are very special, like they are very meaningful, and generally they are intentions or some sort of prayers. And even I can say some maybe are religious, but I take it from the heart of the divine, the unique divine. You know, every religion may have a different name for a god or for whatever they believe, but the heart in the music is very powerful to me, and I see that when we're singing or dancing together, because I also share dancing, circle dance, which is another, you can sing and do it together or separately, just playing the music and do circle dance. All the hearts get together and everyone enjoys it. So I think music is a language that really connects us.
Yes, totally agreed with that. For me, the most interesting moment is where you transition from input, from listening to music, to suddenly start producing it, to make music. And how did it happen to you? Like, where did you find the courage to do this, or like how it changed for you? Because you described all the input.
Right. Good question. It's very interesting. It makes me think like when I was, again, like 17 years old, I was on a big crisis, because it's the time when you're finishing high school and you have to choose what to do with your life.
Life crisis.
So it was a lot of crisis. That's when yoga arrived in my life. At that moment, the mom of my boyfriend at the time, she did yoga, and she said, Lali, I think this can be useful for you. And it was another turning point, which is very connected to this world also. That's why I'm mentioning it. But anyways, so when I was that age, I started writing some songs in English.
I see.
And this is very interesting, because
emotional period.
Right. So it's very curious, because I wrote one about India, and I would have never imagined that I would ever go to India. So this song was about like, it is in India, a place where I belong, where I've been, where I haven't been. But I guess I was a little bit influenced also because I was a big fan of Aerosmith, and in one of the records they have some Indian influence, and also the Beatles, they have some Indian influence. So I guess somehow that got through me.
Sure.
So I wrote this song, and then I wrote another one about fear and vulnerability, and many years later I recorded it with my friends. And it was very interesting. My brother helped me. Like, my way of composing has been very random. It was not something that I continuously do, because I was doing a teacher training college for English. I was doing many other things. This was just spontaneous things that eventually happened. So, but yeah, and so when this came to me, what I would do is, like, I had the melody and the lyrics. I would sing it to my brother, and he would just play guitar to it, and then I showed this to my friends, and they put the drums, the bass, and so on. And so basically, my brother was a good help for me. For creating. And then I remember, because these days when we've been talking about doing this, and it's very funny because my father the other day sent me a picture when I was in primary school, and I wrote a poem, and then he has it in his bedroom, like under a glass, and he sent me a picture of that, and I was like, wow. So I kind of wrote like in prose, and I remember once in primary school, the head of the school called me, and they gave me like a special note and congratulating me for writing a poem. So I think it's like, this is something that kind of naturally popped up as I think art is part of our humanity, and it comes in times of need or expressing beauty, you know. There are many ways, I think.
But what I can hear is that you kind of had a very supportive family who kind of helped you develop these things. Because if your family will say, oh, it's just a poem, oh, it's just a song, if they wouldn't care, probably it would be a struggle for you to overcome this.
Well, my dad, when he was young, he bought a set of drums himself. He didn't play much. He had a band. I think it was called Waterfalls or something. Like, he liked traveling. And once I got in my mind, same age, I want a set of drums. I want a set of drums, but I won't tell my parents until I finally get it, because maybe they might say no, and that will be, I will have it.
Yes.
So I said, okay, Dad, I already booked a set of drums. You come with me and pick it up. And he was like, why, blah, blah, blah. But then I guess he remembered he owned his own set of drums. So yeah, and that was very therapeutic for me to play the drums after school and jam with my brother. And yeah, for me, it was like more of a fun thing to do rather than a professional thing to do. Like, I didn't study much music formally. Like drums, I think I did just 3 months with a very good teacher and friend. So yeah, I guess that was the beginning. And every time it was my birthday or my brother's birthday, like I always invited my brother's band to play on my birthday and jam with other friends that are musicians. So it's like birthdays were always a good opportunity to play music. And sometimes I sang with the band of my brother. So I started exploring singing. At that time, I can say I was not, I didn't tune very well, but still, I really tried, It was for me something that gave me a lot of joy. And then, and then I wanted to start doing the teacher training college after that age, after 17. And my level of spoken English was not very good, because I hadn't studied a lot of English beforehand, and you had to have certain levels in order to enter. So the first year I didn't enter. So that year, that kind of gap year, in the same university, they had improvisation, theater improvisation, choir, and music improvisation. So I guess, okay, it was meant to be. Like, I was not supposed, it was very frustrating for me not to enter the teacher training college, but okay, it was meant to be.
Yes.
And it was a lot of art in this year. So
that's how you become not just an English teacher, but dancing, singing, meditating teacher, but also in English, Spanish. And
right. So this, I went on the choir, and the conductor, he did, the repertoire was music from the world. And I really enjoyed singing, I don't know, like gospel, like folklore from Argentina. I don't know. And for me, that was very enjoyable. Everything was on the same day, on a Saturday. So I spent the whole Saturday at the university doing the improv theater choir. And then with the music improv, sometimes we co-created some performances. So for me, that was was super new to me, and a lot of exploration was there.
Yeah, and what I hear is there was not much theory, right? Not much like just studying, more practical, hands-on experience that gets you into this territory, right?
Right, and improv is about, I did it first to improve my English because it was in English, but it ended up being good for many other things, to become more confident, also to develop, improv in music, in dance, has this gives you this possibility to be in the present. You have to be here and now, saying whatever is meant to say. So in theater, like you're given situations and you have to start just saying stuff. Yes. So this is for me, go with the flow. It was a lot of fun, and also life. In life, I think we need to learn to be ready to. Plan for the unpredictable is one of my mottos, like you never know. Well, this is what is happening in this present life here.
Sure.
Like you can plan some things, but then there are cosmic plans and you need to adapt.
Be ready to anything.
Yeah, and so this makes you, therapeutically speaking, like more flexible. And but I keep having this word joy. It gives you joy to have fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And also there is some connection, because when you're improvising, you need to be aware of the other people. And when it is music, the same. So it's connection is very important. Being open to listen, but not listen just with your ears, with all your senses and your intuition. Yes. So
it's very interesting, and it's interesting to understand that most of people think that studying music is going into solfege, is hard practice, is just studying some classical music and doing all of this like repetitively for years until you get to that level where you are a musician. But from my perspective, with many people, and from your perspective, I believe, is that people who go that path actually lose many things during that journey, and when they arrive to this state of being like a professional musician, being able to like shred notes and or something, they lose the ability to improvise, they lose the ability to express themselves, not some authors or composers. And I enjoy meeting people who didn't go that pathway and found their own way into music. And what I hear from you is that it's more about like feeling and joy, connection. It's not about meter and tempo and scale. You don't think in these terms, right?
Yeah, I think that naturally our body is a musical instrument, and instruments were created by people, right? So it's like, I think instruments are a projection from things we can produce. Like with our voice, we can sing the notes.
The most versatile instrument, yes.
Then body percussion, you can do percussion with your own body. You don't need any instruments to do music. And also it's something that comes with us. Like for example, the parents hum to the babies to make them sleep, or like movement also is very important.
Yes.
Like to move a baby, like to make him quiet. So music and movement are innate, and I think we need to reconnect to that nature that maybe we have lost in school because we were sitting many hours getting information on a chair. I remember being in school. I didn't like going to school. I loved learning. I was a very good student, but in the sense of getting good grades. But my body felt very tired. I was feeling very sleepy, and I was getting really bored, and sometimes I had headaches because it was like very anti-natural to be in a square sitting for so many hours. Physical education was twice a week, and it was more about competition and nothing related to physical education. So anyways, but I think that reconnecting to the nature of music as a natural thing is very important. And you were mentioning about people who study like in conservatories, and like in my experience, my brother himself studied in a conservatory, and he was like a lot of hours rehearsing. And then for the body, being seated in certain positions creates a lot of tension. Some musicians are like 8 hours running, playing,
I was
rehearsing,
imagining like violin
so
but I guess if you get the correct technique, it's kind of healthy.
The correct technique, the correct breaks,
yes.
taking breaks, because doing that all together, it's a lot for the body. It's not not meant to be still in certain position. I'm not against people who study music like this. I think I love playing with people who studied and learned music like this. But I noticed, for example, some years ago, I think it was 2014, with a friend, we created it was on Thursdays, a weekly circle of improv with music, with the voice and instruments from the world. And we had people who came from this side,
like both sides.
People who had no experience about music, or people who were like very professional musicians and students. So it was very interesting to see that for them in general it was more difficult to try to improvise, but then when they got to do it, they got a lot of joy.
They have the background. They can just jump into all these intricate details, find out.
But it was the difference in like it was difficult for them to like even their bodies, they were like rigid. It was like difficult for them to try to relax and try improvising. But for the people who didn't have much experience like professionally or as students in music, it was easier. So it was very interesting because we were all like learning from each other. And I think that music theory can help for many things. Like for your project, for example, it's good to understand how music works, the theory behind it. but I'm not an expert on that area. So
it's okay, yeah, because really you can come to the same place from different sides, from different ways, and but the place is the same. We just play music together, we connect, and we feel this joy, and I think it's the main thing. That's why I think also I try to provide not a way, but many ways, because really I think if you just start experiencing this, it will guide you just naturally. You can feel what is right or wrong just because you can feel it. You're a human being, and that's why I think that every human being has the creative core that can be covered with layers of like social education, like our system that's kind of rigid and makes people fit into it, not the system fit people, unfortunately. But anyway, if I can like this, just this belief that there is this creative core, and you can just scratch off all of this trash and find this in every human, basically.
Yes, and all the cultures. If we study history or investigate about all the different cultures, everybody sang in the tribe, sang in a circle. They dance in a circle around the fire, and also nature has music. Like nowadays, we use music from nature as therapy.
Yes.
The music, the sound of the waterfall, the sound of the ocean. So it's like the sounds of nature really connect us to a state of calmness and well-being. And we, with our voice and movement, we can also create self-regulating practices to balance our nervous system. So it's coming back to what we already did, you know. It's just undo the mechanical, robotic life of a lot of computer, a lot of phone, a lot of sitting, a lot of distractions, because the distractions really disconnect us from our inner music, our inner voice, and our inner expressions. I think nowadays there's so much anxiety in the world because of comparison of, you know, like social media, like you're watching everybody's life and then you naturally compare it to your own life. But your self-expression is not there. Maybe you don't like social media. Maybe you just watch social media, but you're not active there. And it's like, this can create a lot of anxiety and disconnection from your own voice, in not just your own voice, your own being, you know. So I think that creating spaces for me was amazing when I arrived here and I discovered this community of you guys, like the drum circles on Fridays, on Sundays, then the improv, the every other Saturday, Thursdays, then the every other Saturday here in this place, like the music jams. This creates community and creates good times, basically, in simple language, connection.
Totally. And I wanted to note this thing that from one side, we can see that there is a lot of music in people's lives now because they have Spotify, Apple Music, they have headphones always in their ears. Something is playing there. And it's like, I don't know a single person who is not listening to music like at all. I think it's unnatural. It's maybe really sick. I think if you don't listen to music for a long time enough, I think your brain goes out of sync in a way, because when I play music after a busy week, especially on Friday, we get together, get out the drums, start playing. I feel really my brain is kind of aligning to itself, you know, like all the cells start vibrating in the same frequency, and I'm kind of like one person back to one, you know, because when you have all of these distractions, you have really like small different personalities for different situations, like social interactions, and you don't know who are you like in this world. But when you do something that involves like full engagement, your body, your mind, everything is working. So what is like happening, what is coming out of you is really like you. It's something that you have. If you don't like it, maybe you have something to work on. If you like it, just have your joy and just proceed from there, because really like you get the inspiration back when you put something out, you instantly get inspiration back.
Right.
And this cycle, I think it's what's holding the community together, because like everyone gets away after 2-3 hours with this new inspiration for next meeting. Maybe they can practice at home something and bring something new, and it's like sharing a meal, but something more healthy.
Right. Nurturing the soul, the heart, the mind, like calming the mind. Yeah, absolutely. And also, as I was listening to you, I was thinking, like, for example, all these reels, like maybe in few seconds you can watch a lot of reels and they have voice, messages, and music all together.
Yes.
That's a lot of information. We are not aware of the amount of input that we get from the phone, from the street, from conversations.
Yes.
If we work with people or we are around people, it's like whatever we listen stays around. So that's why, for me, my favorite ways to meditate, to cleanse my mind, is singing and dancing, and also nature. Like sometimes I just go to the ocean and just float. And it's a salty water. I mean, it's and being just floating, like releasing tension, really helps me reset. You know. So I think it's very important we give space for cleansing not only our body, our teeth, but also the mind and the energy.
Yeah, I think it's one of those places where like less is actually more.
Yes.
And it feels like it's a kind of general rule. Like when I see someone coming to our jams and they see everyone is so actively playing and they want to also actively play. I say, no, first just listen, and then you will find a spot that lacks something, and then you add something there. But only when you already established the point, you see that, you go there, you do your sound there, you get your space, you feel that your actions are meaningful. That's what I think, that if you have a clean piece of paper, every action will be just noticeable. But if it's like already entangled, if it's many writings, new marks, you won't notice them. So it's cool that you mentioned that meditation and the way that you can come to music as a spiritual tool or as a well-being way to just sustain your mental health. And I read some books also and articles about music being used as a therapy, like real therapy for real, like curing people after brain injuries and all of this. And really, like, the data shows it's super effective. And I think that your job at spreading this and teaching people that you don't need 5 years in conservatorium, you don't need to be in your mind, in your head to make music. You just go down to your heart kind of and listen and open up. This is a really beautiful thing. And this is what I think that's why my focus is particularly live music. And that's what I always note, that really music was only live like 150 years ago. You could, if you listen to music, it's someone is playing it. There was no recording.
Right.
But after we started recording it, and we can have like music from 60s, like Beatles, for example, and listen to them like they're alive. But those guys are dead, sorry. But really, it's something different. It's like talking to your ancestors. I don't know. It's like very specific way what we do with recorded music.
Right.
But when people try to reproduce, and they think that live music is like the same, you get the track and you play the track live, and this is live music. And that's where a lot of frustration comes, because live music doesn't work like this. And a lot of problems, because people come with auto-tune, on the stage, or just backing tracks because they are afraid to like make a mistake, because there's like the right way, and this very hard pathway, until you realize that live music is a whole other genre that has its own rules, its own principles. It works completely different. And you can have your musical skills used there, but some of them really get in the way. Right. Like when I hear like with this instrument, it is creating the drone sound, right? It's the one note, and you go all around this note. You can experiment, but this is one steady foundation.
Right.
But people tend to learn music with the 4 chords, 4-bar loops, and they don't work with this instrument well. They kind of go out of tune, back in tune there, and then they say, "Oh, your instrument is wrong," and they're limiting themselves with this like framework that is established for songs.
Right.
But what I find, that if you try to improvise with these 4 chords, it's too much. It's too emotional. It's like every cycle is a small story. But with more stable, more grounded instruments, it's like a long epic story, or it's something coherent. But with modern music, like pop song structure, it will be like short stories, and it will be so emotional. Like every cycle you get from 1 to 5 to 5th, for example, and it's like very big tension, and then you release tension. But it's cool to release and to go up and down in 3 minutes in a radio edit song, okay. But what we discover, and I see it in all our jams and improvisations, that good improvisation is around like 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Yes, that's an average time, yes.
Yeah, and going too emotional with that, it means that you will be like devastated after. You will like be drained of emotions. But maybe some people need that. Hard time, just go and scream out all of the things that you have inside. But I want to ask you, how do you approach this like space? How do you create this space where really people can meet with a highly professional background, and they can bring their own strange notions, and also people who have no background? Because like I had struggled with this. I can inspire a person, just take the sticks, start drumming, but then they are too inspired, they can do just whatever. They don't notice that they don't listen enough,
like they get carried away.
How do you manage to create this space that everyone can kind of fit?
Well, I guess in that example, is if it is the first time, it will happen. I guess we need to give time.
Yes.
Time is important, like repetition, and even ourselves as a group, I can notice in this short time we've been playing together, like we are becoming more aware of each other, and we are listening to each other more. And like I started singing in the drum circle, so that was a new thing. Like people were happy about it, but then at some point we had to find a balance. Like, okay, how much we do with singing, how much? So it's like it's like the new things invite also to recreate things. Definitely, back to your question, time is very important. Repetition. Because you can do this once, and of course for this person it's amazing, like it's the first time they are doing it. They're playing with other people, like our friend these days from that plays oud. It was the first time he was playing with other people, and it was like very exciting for him and for ourselves, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So what I share, like I have like a kind of a structure and an unstructured way. So my kind of structured way of sharing, because my main purpose is to make people connect with themselves and others and the environment. That's my main purpose, to connect with joy through different ways of expression, which are mainly music and movement. So this could be in a format of singing circles, and there are chants or songs which have a pattern that repeats. It's like a circular song, like a mantra. And this is like more like of a structure form. It can change a bit in the moment, but there is a structure. And what this repetitive form creates a state of calmness, and also it connects you to the intention of the chant or the song. So this is one way. Everybody singing together, maybe the same tone, so that creates unity. And this is something super simple. And even people who never had experience with music can do it. So this works really nicely because everybody's doing the same. Nobody's standing out.
Okay, I can imagine me myself participating, and then I start repeating what I hear, and it's repeating again, so I get comfortable.
Same phrase many times.
Okay, but then we are repeating. We are waiting. What do we repeat next?
Okay, that's Denis. That's Denis.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So this is one form, singing circles with this format, with this structure, and repetition is very. This is something I teach because I also created a program for teachers and parents to connect with this method and do it with their students and their children. And repetition is key because when you are a child and even an adult, you need repetition of routines in your life to have harmony, like food, cleaning, so on and so forth. So repetition is very important to learn a language, to learn to play an instrument, to develop improvisation, repetition is essential. So I do that, but I also do, even in the singing circles, some improv exercises, generally with the Shruti box, where we can explore just vowel sounds and try everybody the same notes, but when we can play around like higher notes, lower notes. So it becomes like a very beautiful choir. It's like at some point it's like an angel's choir. And everybody, even if they don't have experience, can do it. So it's very, very nice. For me, this instrument is very helpful. It gives like a nice support because of the sound. You can go like, you have many possibilities because there are a lot of harmonies there. So it's good to play. And I really like in English the word play music.
Right. Yes.
Because for me, it's supposed to play and have fun. In Spanish, it would be like touch music. It's like the verb tocar música.
Wow.
But play for me is a very beautiful word, and it's a very
touch
nice.
Is also cool, I think.
Touch is also good, but it sounds like touch and go. I mean, we can do a lot of philosophy about it, but anyway, like in English in particular, I really like that you can do it as a game, you can explore. So this would be like the unstructured part for exploration. And the same I do with movement. So sometimes maybe like circle dances, everybody doing the same, everybody in sync, and you have a sense of community, of belonging, of connection. But sometimes we do free exploration, like guided free exploration of movement. And this is also very nice because we live a lot in our minds.
Yes.
So we are, many of us are very disconnected from our bodies. We don't even know if we have pain. Sometimes we don't even know if there is tension or relaxation. So I do a lot of somatic practices and self-awareness guiding exercises for people to really connect with the temple where they live in. We live in this house. This is the house where we will live the rest of our lives.
Some rooms never visit them. Yeah.
Sometimes we don't visit. We visit the attic a lot.
Yes.
But sometimes we don't visit the basement a lot. And the basement is very important, And it's very nice that here in Thailand we can be bare feet, and be connected to the ground, which is something very, very important. The connection we have with our body and the environment as well. So there are like these two ways mainly
structure and then kind of dissolving the structure.
Right, like more like free exploration of the voice and movement. But guidance is very important. It's not like play music, just dance, whatever you want, because everybody has a very different background about movement, about their own bodies, about what is supposed to be good and bad, about having a good voice. Generally, people when come, they say, I cannot sing and I cannot dance.
Sure, yeah.
And I say, that's why you're here, good for you. Because everybody can.
But if they're here, they're already willing to do something about
definitely,
it.
Yes, definitely. But we have a lot of beliefs and programs about our body, our voice, because we were told so many things. And in order to be a good musician, you are supposed to do certain things. And joy was left behind. You
Yeah,
know?
I know these moments when someone comes to my jams and just says, "No, you're doing it wrong. Like doing this." Okay, yeah, and everyone is frustrated at that moment. Like, no inspiration for
Yes.
anyone. Like, okay, wrong. Tell me what's right. And he just tells me how to reproduce some song. But okay, we will sing your song. But what's next? Like, it's a dead end for me, as I understand.
Yeah, I think it's good playing with both things, because sometimes in the drum circle, like there's something that I wanted to mention also, that it came when I was listening to you. Sometimes you feel a call when you're improvising. You feel a call to start playing.
Yes.
Like, I'm thinking of me yesterday. For example, I was playing a drum. And I was playing something, and then I felt a call to stop playing and listening to others to see where I want to start. And the same with singing. And sometimes we are jamming with the drums, and all of a sudden a song comes to my mind, like a famous song.
Yes.
And for me, it's a lot of fun to sing this song that we all know, maybe an international song.
Sometimes it feels like it's coming from the back of my mind, but no, it's really actually happening. No, it's you singing. Wow.
So I think it's fun to play with everything. I don't think there is right or wrong. I think it's important for us to be aware of what aspects of ourselves are in play when we're doing things. And this is not just for music, it's for life in general. Like how structured I am being, how flexible or how unflexible I am being with myself, with others, with music. Yes. And I there are many ways to practice your own expression. I mean, these are my main ones, music and movement. But for some people it's painting, for some people it's cooking. So finding your own way to express your own creation that is unique, and everybody's voice is unique. Nobody has the same voice, same as the fingerprints. Nobody.
Yeah,
so
fascinating.
So
really.
This is very fascinating. We are very unique, and it's very beautiful to make this uniqueness come out and shine in different contexts. So I think this should be like a subject of life, you know, like what time of the week I use to connect with my own expression.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Yeah, at least once in a week. Yeah, it's just I think a basic schedule to just keep sane, keep complete, not lose parts of your life just because you forget about them. Because really, this is the grounding. This is the moment when you because really now, you know, musicians are positioned as especially like popular musicians, as a self-contained unit. Like they write songs, they perform, they know everything. They are just they have music coming from them to the listeners, and that's like the way. But really, from my experience, it's more that first musicians connect to each other like a network, and there's no center in a way. It's like promoted. There is this lead singer, and the band is behind. No, they are in a circle. Really, when they compose, when they rehearse those songs, they are communicating as equals, and I think this is where you get this like self-expression, but as you say, in the context of other people, and then you can be like balanced, not too out, not too inside, but in this like surface level where we can really touch and communicate. Like, okay, I take this space, but you know that if you take all the space, other people will be uncomfortable, and you should be mindful about that. But if you're not, they will teach you the lesson after the jam, maybe talk to you or something. But really, the thing that you kind of expand, but up until others people's boundaries, and this is a very healthy situation.
Yes, and also
one second. You know, with the contrary is when I see people who sit with their guitars at home too much, practicing, shredding the notes, and then they come in and they don't even look at people around. They just come in, plug in the guitar, and just don't look around. They don't listen. They don't notice things. They take space, maybe sound very good, but it's not connected. And Yeah, it's a sad moment sometimes because okay, you're in trouble because it's like you went such a long way to be in this like corner, and then you have to go back a little bit to think, okay, I'm a good player, but maybe I'm not a good player. Like there's a different aspects to it, right?
Yeah, maybe for that person it could be, of course, it's an imaginary situation.
Yes.
But this definitely, I guess it happens. It could be very therapeutic to play by themselves because it can be their own way to connect with their own expression that maybe they cannot do in somewhere else. This is the story of many musicians that start playing an instrument because they don't find another way to communicate and connect.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. But the social part, I think, is also very important because in the music industry, like I don't know a lot what's behind, but I imagine there is a lot of thought about what is going to sell, what is going to be popular, like a lot of factors that maybe are disconnected from something more. I don't know what word to use. I don't like using adjectives, like I don't want to sound wrong, but something more pure, let's say, you know? And I think the words are very important, the words that are communicated, because then there are like a lot of people singing to things that, you know, imagine a lot of people singing to very negative things.
Yes.
I think it can create like a lot of, you know, sometimes we don't even know what we're singing.
Yeah.
But this is another world, and everything is perfect in this world because we need balance and everybody is doing their best. But my experience is that I think the choice of the music that you listen to and the music that you create is very important. You can use it with therapeutic services and ends. And for example, even music that is about anger, there is an album. When I turned 15, my brother got me the album from Alanis Morissette. You know this album?
Yes.
Jagged Little Pill was like my medicine album. So in this album, you go from churchy songs to very angry songs, and you name it. And for me, it was really therapeutic to sing the songs about anger because I could release my own anger, you know, and I didn't know about it. So I think that all music in some way is a way of expression. And for me, it's very important to be mindful about the choices, especially for children nowadays. Sometimes I listen to some music that children are singing, and it really affects me a lot.
Yes.
But well, what I can do is, from my part, try to do my best. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I try to recollect music that has a meaning, and as I said before, connects us with ourselves, others, environment, and to create community. So my main focus nowadays is to spread this with teachers, with parents, and also do it as my own practice. I know on Thursdays I go to the jam. I know on Fridays I go to the drum circle. So for me, it's my own self-responsibility of taking my own space for my own expression.
Yeah, I can see that, and really, I start just this idea strike me that in recorded music, in this music industry, this is the role of producer to guide every creative person towards this goal of making something that will be appreciated by others, become a product, and will be like sold, right? And this is the way, like, if we imagine a producer like that coming into our like singing circle or drum circle, we'll say, no, we don't need that guidance. We're not creating product here. We're not trying to produce a song. No, it's not even a rehearsal. We're already in the process. We're already doing the thing.
Right.
And I think, you know, if we take this analogy of theater and cinema, that was only theater, then we started filming the theater, and it became cinema, completely different genre. So we can say that we are trying to develop this idea of being like a producer, but for live music. And I think it's more like a provider or something like mediator, something that you come and you create really the space, you hold the space, but you're not in charge of the result, and the result is everyone's participation, and it's like something to be curious about what will happen, right? Not expecting something to happen and not guiding even people to the result. Because as I understand, if you provide this super structured practice, it's very predictable for you, right? You know what will happen. People will repeat after you, and this is like not that exciting for you as a performer, right? But if you give more space, more freedom, it's becoming more exciting. You are surprised. Oh, this person can take this high note, or this has such a low voice, or wow, good tempo, good rhythm, and this is all kind of accumulates. And what I understand, if you can kind of reflect it back with your smile, with a nod at the good moment, people will get this back. And this is the thing that we're doing on a live session kind of improvisation.
Yeah, and generally I notice that, for example, the two of us, sometimes we're not even looking. And it's like, most of the time I'm with my eyes closed, I notice. Yeah. So it's like, but we are connected, listening and perceiving, and it's happening. And I think also, as I was listening to you and we were talking about these mainstream artists, I think it's also because now the world is so globalized that for example, Coldplay, a very famous band, like I really like Coldplay, and they are doing a lot of interaction with the audience. They are also, making people part of the concerts in a way that they are like take an active role. And the whole concept about how they create their shows is very integral, and I think that's really, really, really nice. So I think that some artists are taking integrating other things from traditional things that were used to be done before. But yeah, in the moment that when we are co-creating music, I think we were talking before about what would be the ideal scenario for creating an improv. And I'm thinking about first, lose control.
Lose control, yes.
Which can be also said as be present. So be present, like now we had like some ideas, but we're also going with the flow, and we are not being very structured. We want to talk about certain things, but still we are going with the flow. So like, okay, what would be the structure in an improv? Maybe rhythm. Generally, I notice you are like the rhythm man. So you start like playing some drums, for example, or like most electronic or the drums. And so then maybe someone with a keyboard joins, and maybe then I start singing. So particularly in singing, also, sometimes I improvise with vowel sounds, just making sounds. But sometimes I start improvising lyrics. And this is something that I started happening a lot here. And for me, it's really cool. Like it's
another level, really.
It's something that I'm really enjoying and exploring and developing with sessions on we do here. Because, I don't know, sometimes I got this phrase that comes to my mind. So I started improvising on this phrase, and then I realized that maybe that was an intention or a prayer or a wish or something I want to achieve or how I want to feel. So it's good for me. The other day I did it for a friend, So it's like improvisation gives you the possibility of being present with the reality, whatever is you're going through. And maybe you want to scream. Maybe it's not my style to start screaming on an improvisation, but maybe it's like playing the drum harder, or maybe, I don't know, expressing certain sounds. I'm very aware that I don't want to hurt my body while expressing anger, but there are many ways maybe to dance into like faster music, faster beat music, whatever. And so I guess going back to the perfect scenario would be like being present, being open, and just relax in the sense that there are no mistakes, no judgment, because, okay, maybe you played the wrong note or you went out of tune. Like it happens to me sometimes if I go out of tune, there is a moment like I feel unhappy, but then it's just, okay, let's go, keep going. The music keeps going, you know? So it's like a good exercise to let go the judgment and the self-criticism. I think in a social way, it's very good for many things. Like, being present, being open, and having a repetition, like trying this a lot, because when you try it a lot, you can see the process. And for example, sometimes in connection to recording that you were mentioning before, sometimes I record the impros because then I see, okay, I like how this song came out, and maybe I want to eventually in the future record it as a song. And so I think the possibilities are infinite.
Yeah, I think if you look at recorded songs as kind of distilled jams, like this is maybe half an hour, 40 minutes of explorations, then you find something finally in the last 5 minutes, and then you kind of bring it back and create a track from this.
Right.
This feels like a natural process, and I think we are subconsciously perceiving songs as being first just improvised. And then we kind of get this feeling that, okay, at first, because initially it's just appearing in someone's mind as a rough sketch. It's not that it's a finished track that is just comes out of person's, I don't know, mouth or somewhere. It's just happens to be rough, a sketch point, and it's like really like a jam, but maybe in your mind.
Yeah.
But then it's you jam it more and more, polish it, and it kind of becomes a track.
Yeah, and also it's a natural need that we want to share. This is a human thing.
Yes.
So if you are experiencing something beautiful, you want to share it with the world. So I guess that's why music is also recorded, because then you said, wow, what we just did was beautiful. It made us feel so good. Maybe we'll make other people feel good. And I think that's amazing. Like in that sense, technology also it's amazing. And I was telling you before, like the last day before the pandemic with two friends, Germán and Sebas, we recorded a track we called Indian Spirit. And it's like Indian style. And then I use this track a lot for my sessions. And I feel very like we never planned how that was going to come. Like there is tampura, sitar, and drum, but we never knew what we were gonna do. We just improvised. And it's very powerful. I've been using it for, well, when did the pandemic start? From that day on.
Yes,
or some days after, when it was mastered and all. And it's very powerful. So I am very happy that we recorded it, because it helps me a lot for my sessions, and people really like it and they want to have it. So I think it's nice again to be open to play with life, you know?
Yeah, I think it's part of like Indian music that it is more free for musician to improvise. It's kind of in the raga tradition that they have kind of notes, some of the movements, but you are free to move around these territories. So musicians in Indian music in particular are more improvisation kind of easy to improvise, less rigid structures. That's compared to Western music, that's very rigid. You have to play with certain dynamics.
I think it depends on the musician.
Yeah.
From my experience also.
Sure.
Because
Yeah,
I've seen both things in India too. Yes. I think maybe the Indian music is such a big world that I think I know like
south, north, west, east. There's many.
And also, for example, this instrument is like a newer instrument in comparison to the harmonium. And it's called Shruti box. And Shruti means listen. And my understanding is that when you listen to so many harmonies, you can also listen to some music that comes within you.
Yes.
So if we think of all the rishis that channel the Vedic chants in India, for example, like there were people connected in meditation and these prayers came, you know, and this is how music comes. Maybe you are very sad and something opens up inside you and you make a song. Like you don't have to be from any particular place or have any special powers. We all have these powers. It's part of our humanity. It's just, again, to give it space. And I think in moments of sadness, music is very, like, I'm going through a lot of challenging processes in my life because of detachment, change of country, change of situations, and a lot. And it's like music is being a big support in my life right now. In very sad moments, I'm coming up with very beautiful songs that I enjoy. It's beautiful for me, you know, it's beautiful experience. And then it happens when I share it, people like it, and maybe they resonate with it. So I think, it doesn't matter where we come from. I think Indian music is so broad, and also like they have ragas for different moments of the day. It's very connected to nature, to the nature of the being and everything around. So I think that is very beautiful. So the first time 10 years ago when I went to India for a yoga training, I ended up in a place, an ashram, a music ashram. Every time I was walking up my yoga school, I saw a sign, Devi Music Ashram, and I was like, wanna go. When I went, I was like, okay, now I understand what I was feeling, like this call. And there I saw their concerts. It's a family of amazing people who play beautifully. And I fell in love there with Indian music. And then I bought this Shruti box to try to practice some songs Niti, my teacher from there, taught me. And I think, yes, I remember the first time I was in this concert, I remember it. It's a feeling, like as if parts of my body were waking up. Because I was listening to new semitones, new, the singing, and it was like, I felt like something opened up inside myself. What is this, you know?
Gamakas, right?
Yes.
Techniques,
and there are other names that I don't remember.
Carnatic, it's what I mean.
Right. Okay. But all these you can do a lot of games with not games, a lot of I think they call it, the teacher call it adoration, something like, it's a synonym of this word in English. What is not that is like Spanglish? No, like things they use to decorate, like you can,
decorations. Yes.
But it has another name. Anyways,
embellishments.
It will come later. Okay. But it's like different things you can do to play with your voice, different exercise to practice different ragas. So you just listen and repeat, and I think Indian music has so much to offer that also expands. This is my understanding. Like when you learn and you meet other cultures, that for me is also, as a language teacher of English and Spanish, I can see now at this point of my life, I can see everything makes sense to me, you know, like, okay, I was always interested in learning about other cultures, in learning about other languages, in discovering music. And the more options and variety you are exposed to, more flexible you become. You become more understanding and more empathetic about other people, and also you can become more playful about music. So yeah.
Let's try to be more playful with this instrument, because I think our listeners and viewers are very, very interested in how does it work, what is this, and how do you use it really in your practice. Can we just short tour?
A show. Okay, so I will. Maybe I can keep it here.
Yeah. So this looks like keys, or what is this?
Yes, these are keys that you open them, and the sound. This is like a little piano. The sound comes through the holes. So this is like
C, D, E, F, G.
And here you have like an accordion. So when you pump it, the air comes through.
And
the
magic
holes,
happens,
magic happens, and you
so
can...
much sound.
Yes. Listen to this sound.
That's where I want to analyze this sound and really like understand how it's
Let's
working.
have fun with this.
Yeah, because I created a Shruti box, that digital
The
version.
digital.
Yes, because I didn't have the luxury to find a way to buy it, or I just saw a picture of this on Wikipedia and I was, wow,
Really?
that's a really cool thing. But what I have is just digital my code, and I used code to both, so we can just now see how your Shruti box, what quality of sound does this produce, because it's really rich sound and we can see this on spectrogram.
Right.
Like for a sec, I will show. Yeah, I can even stop this and we can see that I can see that you're playing this C right here. Yeah, we can see that the G is right here, very thick, very loud G, but also there's another C right
this
there.
Yeah.
And we can even see if you, for example, turn off that second C. Yeah, we can see slight changes in variation, but it's kind of the same note, so they work together very well, right? But if you do something weird or like this, yes, you can see.
Wow.
Suddenly, so this is chaotic, very bad sounding sound, and this is very good sounding music. And the difference between them is just minute, but you can see that I opened that C sharp, and it was just near the C original one.
Yes.
And when we have the notes too close together, they start clashing, and we have all this like feeling of discomfort. But I would guess, so I could easily add this to make it minor, right?
Right.
Oh, major. And this will make it minor. Such a rich pattern. I mean, it's just 3 notes, but we see so many overtones.
I think it would be nice if you can briefly explain how this works for my audience that doesn't know.
Yeah, sure. So this is analyzing sound, incoming sound, and it's finding all the frequencies and shows all the frequencies from bottom to up, from lowest notes to the highest. And the fact is that it was also kind of discovery for me that even a simple note is not just one frequency. It's a bunch of frequencies on top of each other, and it depends on the shape of the instrument. It depends on the shape of your mouth and cavities. If it's about the voice, it's telling us a lot, the timbre of the sound. And this is the harmonics, and it's not that every sound has harmonics. For example, table. It's just, it has some of those harmonics, but it's mainly like all frequencies. But when I use my voice, it's also C. I got the note. And
nice.
It has all these other frequencies. But for example, you said about the vowels, and even vowel is, you can see that there's a difference. Like, yeah. So, U is the most closed one. You have only 4 main notes, but all of the harmonics are killed because we just close mouth and like make the hole small. And we eliminate all the high harmonics. And with this instrument, you can see like if your voice is getting like richer or not. You can kind of work with that. And I think it's my way of doing the same thing that you are doing, like only practicing with some feedback. But my feedback was not from maybe other people or some teachers in India, but my applications that really taught me a lot about the sound and how it works, and even like speech or tones in the language. You can see them also
how
here.
They look like. Wow,
yeah, like
that's so interesting.
Ma. You see, and they're obviously very different. Like people will say, "Oh, they sound the same." No, they look different. So it's kind of interesting.
So interesting.
But I really wanted to use this tool to see how you can use your voice with a Shruti box to like explore this, because I believe that when you explore this drone sound, you're actually going along with these harmonics, and that's where you can feel this resonance, and you say, okay, this is harmonious moment. This is I fit, or I'm out of tune. But how do you tell it? And we can really see this, and maybe you can demonstrate us like a short maybe exercise for voice, for opening, and we can see how it looks on the screen.
Nice. You can join me?
I will try.
Thank you. Okay, so first we can take a deep breath and exhale all we talked. We can...
I will update this again to make it more reliable.
Good. So let's inhale. One more time. We can also connect with our body to bring the awareness, maybe bring a hand towards your chest, to bring the awareness that we are the instrument right now. So what we can do is like you just can try to imitate what I do, but at some point we can start playing. We're going to sing the sound of and the same tone. But then at some point we can try exploring different tones individually, but listening to each other and listening to the instruments.
It's so hard to me. I'm not a singer, like completely, but okay.
This is what people say the first time. You can do it.
Right.
Good challenge. Right.
I'm trying my best.
now we're talking and it's like...
Yeah, but I saw that. Yeah, definitely, like you land precisely in the note, so you can see you starting singing because like you nail it. I kind of climb it to the note, to the correct, or go down. That's like I don't have enough practice, I know. But really, I can see the notes because of my experience with this system, and I saw that you went to E, you went to F, but were you aware of these notes? Do you think about them in your mind? Like
I was just trying to do as I was doing it. I had this idea of doing maybe 2 times each note, so that it gives you some time to get there for you, and create some preparation to then play more. But for the little that I got to see, because at the beginning I closed my eyes, but then I saw a lot of harmony in the line. So it's like I can even perceive it from the sound, like you were getting in tune, even you know.
Some beating.
Well, but still, it's the first time you're doing it. So, but visually, for me, this is like a new experience to get to see how beautiful it looks. And nowadays, with technology, and even I saw these experiments with sand and other things, you can see the geometry of sound, and this is very important because whatever sounds we are around, like create something in our bodies, in our waters. There are a lot of studies of how sound affects the water. We are 70% water, so it's very important to what we are exposed to, and even with our voice we can produce harmony. So these simple exercises, that I kind of like calling them like lullabies. Lullabies are this, you know, like we can sing lullabies to ourselves to regulate ourselves, and also for others, you know. So listening or producing it, it's a very good thing to.
While we are here, I wanted to test my own Shruti box.
Now people will want it.
This is quite an expensive and rare instrument. Really, like not everyone can just take a hold on it. I wish if you can, just buy it. Yeah, it's amazing thing. But for those who cannot, I just made this drone app on Chromatone, and I'm just guessing if you can really use it in the same way or
traveling Shruti box.
Yeah, traveling Shruti box. Just open on your phone. You can install it as a application and use it without internet. So imagine on an airplane, it's
everybody singing.
Yeah, it's in your luggage, but then you're stuck. Okay, I have it. Yeah.
Hope the pilot is concentrating.
I just want to try. If I put the same notes here, will it feel to you like a real Shruti box?
Okay, let's
just be honest with me, okay?
Fun experiment. Like it.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Approved.
It sounds not that fancy as this. It's not that rich, but I'm inspired to try to mimic this sound there.
Nice. Yeah. My experience is that, before I came to Thailand, I really wanted to explore singing with electronic music. So it was great to meet you and David, another friend of ours, because this was something that I really wanted to do. And there is something about me that I really like, very simple things. Like I really want to spread this idea that we can just use our voice. But I really like playing with instruments. Mainly it's the Shruti box and a shamanic drum for voice. But I really have a lot of fun with other instruments and electronic music. So I think this is, I can really have fun with this as well. And it's not that, no, this is fake out. I think there's for everyone, you know, and I think it's good we can explore different things, because it's very different maybe when we are in the evening on the beach singing with a Shruti box is one experience. Another experience is doing this maybe for dancing or whatever, or maybe change the situation. Like I think both things are really cool, and I liked it. Yeah,
cool.
I have fun with it, and I like how it sounds. Yeah,
excited.
I didn't know about this. I discovered this today. Like I didn't know you have created this.
Yes, I have a lot of things, but they have perfect time and perfect place to be used. So I think it was perfect. And really, I looked at the spectrum of this instrument, and I will try to reproduce it because it's really much more rich sound that I can make with this drone app, but I can do better. I think we covered all of the topics, that we planned. Sure, there's so many things that we can discuss more, but I think when we play music, when we improvise, we can tell even more and discuss even more. So I hope we will be successful with our recording, and our viewers will be able to listen to our improvised music and find like how the process is structured, how we start, how we develop this themes, topics, how we discuss things musically, and what ends up being a recording, what is the end result of it. So
yes, and I want to encourage people to try these things. I guess maybe if in their communities this doesn't exist, they can start gathering with their friends, exploring with their voices, joining our sessions online, and and in nowadays this is spreading a lot. The drum circles, singing because there is a need to connect.
For sure.
So this is for me,
country.
City is not only like everywhere. So I think it's very important to create community and do things of expression and have fun and enjoy.
Great! What a great talk! Thank you, Lali, for participating.
I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
It's very interesting, and I like how I feel right now. So hopefully everyone feels the same, uplifted, and Have a great day, guys. See you in the next podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.